Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of Armoured Warfare. So 0.13 patch is finally here. We've got a new arms dealer, we've got Zhang, who has brought us a whole bunch of Chinese main battle tanks. Now to get access to the tree, you either need to do a couple of missions for the Type 59. You either need to do, I believe it's 150,000 damage within 50 meters of allies for PvP. And for PvE, it's 600,000 damage, which is a huge amount. However, you can get access to the entire tree by buying this, the WZ1224, which is the premium Chinese tier 5 main battle tank. Now today we're actually going to be taking a look at the Type 98, which is, as I say, another one of these main battle tanks here at tier 8. Now in terms of the actual tank itself, it's fairly well armoured. If you look at the AP rounds, you've got 494 mils of armour at the front, 390 at the sides, and 104 millimeters at the back, which raises up to 760, 600, and 600 for the side. 600 for the sides, 760 for the front. If you're using shape charge, which basically is rockets or things like heat rounds. Now, in terms of the gun, it's got a very good 125mm gun here. It's a smooth bore gun, so that means it's going to be able to fire these ATGM rockets. It doesn't actually have any upgrades to the gun. You don't have to buy another gun, so it means you can just unlock all of the ammunition for it. Now, in terms of the armor piercing, the best armor piercing we've got here is 547mm of penetration, which is actually one of the better tier 8 armor penetrations on the guns. There's a couple that's going to be higher, things like the T90, which has 600. However, this is definitely not bad at all. And then obviously you've got the heat rounds down here, which 701 damage, and 469 mils of pen. And then you've got the rockets, 771 damage with 1100 penetration. This thing is just going to go straight through everything. And then you got the thermobaric missile, which is more for doing module damage. Now in testing, I didn't really see a huge amount. I hit like a tier 6 Stingray with it. And it just really didn't seem to do that much in the way of module damage whatsoever. So I don't particularly like the thermobaric. I would much rather go with the massive damage of the tandem ATGM. Now, going back to the armor for a second. We do have a couple of notable weak spots. In terms of weak spots on this thing, the lower plate, if you actually take this line here of this plate, this upper bit, you will not pen at all. And this lower bit, you'll go through pretty much every single time. It can be a little trolly, because especially if you hit this very lower part. However, if you hit this area here, you are pretty much guaranteed a penetration every single time. Apart from that, you've got this driver's hatch here. It's not very easy to hit, but it is definitely a weak spot nonetheless. However, there is a fairly major weak spot on this one, and that is the entire front of the cannon. In testing, we got a tier 6 Stingray. It had got the top tier ammo for it, so obviously it's not going to be a standard Stingray, and the Stingray does have one of the better guns. However, he was basically penetrating this front of the tank at, well, where the cannon goes in every single time, even up to distances of like 400 meters. So this is a very, very notable weak spot, and something you do have to look out for. It does mean that this is a very weird machine. It means you can't really, you've got tanks with, if they have a very weak lower plate, like maybe the Chieftain Mark V is a good example. The Chieftain Mark V doesn't have a particularly good lower plate, but it does have an almost impervious turret. However, we've got the Type 98 here, which has not a great lower plate and not a great turret. So I'm not entirely sure whether you're supposed to be hull down with this, whether you're supposed to be like a more maneuverable main battle tank to try and stay with the Stingrays, like as a heavy support for the light tanks. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm guessing playing with this a bit more will actually give me some sort of idea. Now, in terms of the gun again, you've got a fairly decent gun depression of 4 degrees. If you go into the Chinese tanks through the WZ-1224, it's pretty much an advert for having no gun depression whatsoever. So this thing means you can actually use it in a lot of situations. You can park it on a hill, you can use ridge lines, things like that. Whereas some of the other ones, it's nowhere near as bad as like a BMP, or like I said, that WZ-1224. Okay, welcome to some Type 98 gameplay here on Operation Quarterback. It's a hard PvE mission. So we've had a look at the tank already. Let's move on to actually seeing the thing in action. So what I'm going to do is I'll talk through a little bit about my the gameplay, about how I'm going to use the tank, and also sort of about my thought process while I do it, just to see, you know, if I can help you guys with things like target prioritization and stuff like that, because I've seen some very strange choices when it comes to trying to come up with your target priorities. Now, even there, if I'd have had a shot at that that guy, I probably wouldn't have taken it. The low damage isn't really worth it. It's not worth wasting a shot for, especially when you've already got an autocannon that's actually opening up on him. Now we've got the BMP, we've got a Stingray up here. Now this is actually a really good spot that people don't seem to realise about this map. If you've got your friendly tanks over there, you can come up here onto the flank, and there you go. Once again, not really worth taking a shot at that Stingray, so let's finish this one off. BMP's taking a hammering. But now I will finish off the Stingray, because it actually became a threat to the team. Like, don't sacrifice people's health for the sake of trying to save a shot. I'll put one into that T90 as it's shown its back to me. They do seem to be targeting me now, so I'm going to roll up. Shown its side to me again, so we'll put one in. I was aiming for its lower glacis, which is where you probably should shoot those T90s. M8 Thunderbolt, fantastic gun. Pretty big threat there up on the flank. So I'm going to try and take shots at it. It's turned to me now. Try and aim towards its rear. Try and hit an engine, maybe. I did hit the engine. Oh, well, that weasel just spawned there. Hit the engine again. You seem to have to do a ridiculous amount of damage to things now before they'll actually, before you'll knock something out. There we go. Third hit on the engine, and we've knocked it out. Now we are tracked here, which is probably not a good thing. Now I talked a little bit about the gun depression of the tank earlier, and as you can see, it's actually pretty good. These guys seem to be going for the full health stuff, so I'm just going to finish off this M1. It's an easier shot for me because I've got his side already. So we've still got Kai's enemy tanks pouring in over here. Let's keep pouring on the flanking fire. T90 turns to us, hits us with HE, I believe. Yep, HE frag. Just keep pouring on the fire. We've tracked him in front of our allies there. They'll finish him off, hopefully. So I'll put some shots into this other T90. Hit the engine, so he is now slower. I always try and aim for if I've got the side, I'll always aim for an engine shot. You'll either get the chance for a fire, or you'll knock out his engine like that, which has just finished him off. Which basically just makes him a complete sitting duck for our allies. This is what I was talking about with the gun depression of the tank earlier. Unlike maybe the premium, which is the first, you know, which is going to be a lot of people's first introduction to these tanks. This has actually got very good gun depression, whereas the premium just has, like, it's an advert for having no gun depression whatsoever. Just going to roll up, hit the T90 in the side. I'm just going to back up. Knock over this secondary objective, since they actually are worth way more now. We took a hit from the T90 there, though. So we've got a Challenger coming in down there. That's another engine shot. Engine shots just relieve the pressure a little bit on your team. Because it slows them down, like slows the enemy down quite a lot. It means that obviously they're not going to get into position quite as quickly. Now, once again, we spoke earlier about the speed of the vehicle. and now it's one of the faster MBTs. As you see, we've caught up to this T90 rather well. Doesn't have particularly good power to weight ratio, which means that as soon as we got to that hill, it wasn't particularly quick, but this Ramka is obviously trying to circle this guy, but it's making things difficult for the rest of us. I don't even know where that shot went. Not a clue. So I'm going to push in towards the back of the complex here, alongside the T90 and the Ramka. Obviously, we're not as fast as the Ramka. We should be able to close the gap with the T90, maybe. As you can see, like, it takes a while to get up to speed a little bit. But once it does, it is definitely one of the faster MBTs. And let's start pouring on the flanking fire again. There's Leo Lieutenant in there. Got the Charlie. And we've got the Ramka over there. That was a poor shot into the Ramka. I'm not sure why I even tried for that one. We got the side of the Lieutenant. Again, I went for an engine shot. Knocked off his tracks. So he's, yeah, stunned in the middle there for our alloys. Go for the rear of the Challenger 2. Don't have an engine shot. However, it does have external fuel tanks. So we have got a chance of setting the thing on fire. Although probably not where I shot it. The external fuel tanks are obviously on the back of the vehicle. Here we go. Flat panel of the Ramka. There we go. And this Leopard just spawns right next to us. Didn't have a chance against the ridiculous damage output of that Ramka. So I'm going to roll up. I'm going to roll into the... oh, we're taking fire from Terminator 2 back there. Flat panel. There's a flat panel right here on the Terminator 2. If you're going to shoot anywhere, that's where you shoot. Because you will go through every time. It's very slightly reduced damage, but not enough where it actually becomes a problem. I'm actually firing heat now. I've run out of AP. So there's still Terminator 2 up there. Let's move up. Let's use this for cover. There we go. Oh! That Ramka over there. I'm not going to shoot because the cage on the back will destroy it. I'm going to shoot up into the turret ring of the Ramka. ERA plus that turret, the cage at the back, sorry, are designed to stop heat rounds. So I'm gonna back. Actually, we've got this in hand right now, so I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna carry on pouring the damage out. That Stingray is gonna die now. Oh, I'm the one that's capping, so I probably shouldn't move out of the cap circle. Some grade A awareness for you there. Didn't even realise I was in the cap circle. So there you go. Casually, you know, 14,000 damage done in the Type 98. As you can see, you know, a lot of the features we talked about the tank earlier, the decent penetration on the gun, the fairly decent accuracy, plus the gun depression, plus the fact that it is actually a very speedy, it's quite a nimble main battle tank, all came into effect there. We were able to get the flanking fire in while our team took the brunt of the damage at the front. Unfortunately, it looks like we lost our arty some point along the way. I have a feeling you probably got counter-artied. Playing arty in PvE completely is just pointless right now because you just get artied straight off the bat and that's your game over. But here we go. 123,000 credits, 4,445 XP, 14,200 damage done, 7,000 spotting and 9 kills. Top damage in the team, only just, which is actually quite surprising because I thought that Ramka would have it by quite a bit. So yeah, that is the Type 98, the brand new Chinese main battle tank here at Tier 8. It's a very good machine. It has a very good damage output at the expense of having some fairly, well, I'm going to say fairly major weak spots at the front. I'm still not entirely sure what this tank is for, whether it's supposed to be like a heavy support for light tanks, because it just doesn't feel strong enough at the front to be a straight up main battle tank. As I said earlier, it can get penned at the front in the weak spots very, very easily by something at tier 6, like the Stingray was what I used for testing, as I said earlier. However, it is a very strong machine in terms of the damage output. The gun on it is very, very good. So as always, guys, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next episode.